He walked into that hospital thinking it was just another checkup. What he didn't expect was to see her standing there, the woman he destroyed, wearing a white coat and holding his life in her hands. Now, fate has given him one more chance. But some hearts don't heal. Some just learn to beat without you. This is the story of Nicholas Grant and the doctor who could save him or let him fall. Nicholas Grant's empire stretched across 3 continents, 42 hotels, 18 luxury resorts, a tech division that revolutionized online hospitality. At 34, he was worth $9 billion and climbing. Forbes called him the Midas of Manhattan. His competitors called him ruthless. But none of that mattered when he woke up on the floor of his conference room, surrounded by panicked assistants and the bitter taste of failure in his mouth. He'd been in meetings for 16 hours straight, hadn't eaten, barely drank water. His assistant found him unconscious, face down on imported mahogany, his $5,000 suit wrinkled and damp with sweat. The company physician arrived within minutes, took one look at him, and made the call. Hospital. Now. Non-negotiable. Nicholas hated hospitals. The fluorescent lights, the antiseptic smell, the vulnerability of being just another body on a gurney. But his legal team made it clear. Refuse treatment, and they leak it to the press. Billionaire collapses, refuses medical care. Stock prices would tank. So, he went. That's how he ended up sitting in examination room 7 at Mercy Grace Medical Center, wearing a paper-thin gown and trying not to think about how his billion-dollar brand could crumble over something as human as exhaustion. The door opened, and she walked in. For a moment, time stopped. Olivia Reed stood in the doorway, tablet in hand, white coat crisp against navy scrubs. Her dark hair was pulled back in a low bun, her face calm and professional. But her eyes, those warm brown eyes he'd memorized 6 years ago, went wide with recognition. The tablet nearly slipped from her fingers. Nicholas. His name came out like a breath she'd been holding for years. He couldn't speak, couldn't move, just stared at the woman he'd loved and left, now standing 3 feet away, wearing the title she'd fought so hard to earn. She recovered first, clearing her throat and stepping fully into the room. "I'm Dr. Reed. I'll be overseeing your examination today." Her voice was steady, professional, but he heard the tremor underneath. "Olivia," he managed, his voice rough. "I didn't know you were—" "Let's keep this professional, Mr. Grant." She clipped the words short, opening his file. "You collapsed during a business meeting. How long have you been experiencing fatigue?" Mr. Grant, not Nicholas, not Nick, like she used to whisper against his neck in the dark. He forced himself to answer. "A few weeks, maybe long. Sleep patterns? 3-4 hours a night. Diet? Whatever's available." She made notes, her pen moving quickly across the page. "Any chest pain? Shortness of breath?" "Sometimes." He paused. "When I think about you." Her pen stopped. She looked up, eyes flashing. "That's not relevant to your medical condition." isn't it? He leaned forward slightly. My heart hasn't worked right since the day you walked away. Isn't it? He leaned forward slightly. My heart hasn't worked right since the day you walked away. I walked away? Her voice rose before she caught herself, glancing at the door to make sure it was closed. When she spoke again, it was quieter, colder. You're the one who chose a hotel chain over a future together. The words hit like a punch because she was right. 6 years ago, they'd been inseparable. Nicholas was a hungry entrepreneur with a half-finished business degree and a dream of building something that mattered. Olivia was pre-med, brilliant and determined, spending 18-hour days between classes and hospital rotations. They'd met at a coffee shop near campus. She'd been reviewing anatomy notes. He'd been sketching hotel designs on napkins. They'd started talking and never really stopped. For 2 years, they built a life together in a tiny apartment with cracked windows and a radiator that only worked on Tuesdays. They were broke, exhausted, and completely in love. Then, Nicholas got the offer. A wealthy investor wanted to back his first hotel, but there were conditions. He'd have to move across the country, work nonstop, sacrifice everything for the first 5 years. No distractions, no commitments. Olivia had asked him to wait, to build it together, slowly, without selling his soul. He'd told her he couldn't, that this was his only shot, that love was a luxury he'd earn back later. She'd cried in his arms that last night, begging him to choose her. He'd left anyway, and he'd spent 6 years telling himself it was worth it. Now, standing in this sterile room with her looking at him like a stranger, he wasn't so sure. Olivia attached a heart monitor to his finger, her touch clinical and distant. "Your heart rate is elevated," she said quietly. "Try to relax." Hard to relax when you're this close. She stepped back immediately as if he'd burned her. "I'm your physician, Nicholas. That's all." "Is it?" He searched her face. "Because you're looking at me like what? Like I broke your heart and walked away without looking back?" Her voice was steady, but pain flickered in her eyes. "Because that's exactly what happened." He had no defense, no excuse that would matter. The monitor beeped steadily between them, counting the seconds of silence. Finally, Olivia spoke. "Your vitals show severe stress. Blood pressure is dangerously high. You're dehydrated, malnourished, and displaying early signs of cardiac strain." She met his eyes. "If you don't slow down, your body will do it for you." "What's the treatment?" "Rest. Real food. 8 hours of sleep." She paused. "And letting go of whatever's eating you alive. If you believe some ambitions cost too much, subscribe and drop a like. Nicholas needs to hear it." Before he could respond, her pager buzzed. She glanced at it, her expression shifting to something urgent. "I need to go. Emergency surgery." She moved toward the door, then hesitated. "I'll have my nurse schedule a follow-up. We need to monitor your heart function over the next week." "Olivia, wait." She turned, one hand on the doorframe. "I'm sorry." The words came out raw, unpolished. "For everything. For leaving. For thinking I could build something meaningful without you. I was wrong." For just a moment, her professional mask slipped. He saw the girl he'd loved, the one who'd believed in him when he was nobody. Then it was gone. Apologies don't undo 6 years, Nicholas. Her voice was soft but firm. And they don't heal what you broke. She left. And Nicholas sat alone in that examination room, surrounded by the beeping of machines, realizing that all his billions couldn't buy back the one thing he'd lost. 3 days later, Nicholas received a call from the hospital. His test results were in, and Dr. Reed needed to see him immediately. He cleared his schedule and drove himself this time. No chauffeur, no assistant. When he arrived, Olivia was waiting in her office, a small, warm space filled with medical journals and a single orchid on the windowsill. She gestured to a chair. He sat. "Your results show something concerning," she began, her tone measured. "Your heart is under significant strain. Not enough to be life-threatening yet, but if this continues—" She trailed off, sliding the chart across the desk. "You're 34, Nicholas. You shouldn't have the heart function of a 50-year-old. He stared at the numbers, the medical terms he didn't understand. "What do I need to do?" "Fundamentally change how you live." She leaned back, studying him. "No more 16-hour days. No more skipping meals. You need to rebuild your health from the ground up." "I can do that." "Can you?" Her eyebrow arched. "Because from what I've read, you're in the middle of acquiring 3 more properties. Your schedule is booked solid for the next 6 months. He'd forgotten she always did her research. "I'll make time." "It's not about making time, Nicholas." Her voice softened slightly. "It's about deciding what actually matters, something you've never been good at." The words stung because they were true. He looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who'd stayed up all night helping him study for exams he thought were pointless, who'd believed in his dreams even when they were scribbled on napkins, who asked him for one thing, just one, and he said no. "You matter," he said quietly. "You always did. I was just too blind to see it." She went very still. "Liv, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I burned that bridge completely, but I need you to know." His voice cracked. "Not a day has gone by when I didn't regret it. Every success felt empty. Every milestone felt hollow, because you weren't there." Tears shimmered in her eyes, but she blinked them back. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to walk back into my life and make me feel—" She stopped, steadying her breath. "I worked so hard to move on, to build a life without you. And now you're here, and it's like no time has passed at all." "Maybe it hasn't. Maybe some things don't heal. They just wait." She stood abruptly, turning toward the window. "You need to leave, Nicholas." "Olivia." "Please." Her voice broke. "Just go." He rose slowly, every instinct screaming at him to stay, to fight, to fix this. But he'd already taken enough from her. At the door, he paused. "I meant what I said. You matter. You always will." Then he left, his heart heavier than it had ever been. For the next 2 weeks,
Nicholas did something he hadn't done in 6 years. He slowed down. He delegated projects. He left the office at 6. He ate real meals, slept full nights, and for the first time since building his empire, he asked himself, what am I actually doing this for? The answer kept coming back to her. He started small. Anonymous donations to the hospital's cardiology wing, funding for medical students who couldn't afford tuition. He didn't attach his name, didn't want credit. He just wanted to do something that would make her proud. But he also knew gestures weren't enough. Not this time. So he did something drastic. He called his board of directors and announced he was stepping back. Not permanently, but enough to rebuild his life the right way. He appointed a co-CEO, restructured his schedule, and for the first time in his career, he chose himself over the company. His investors were furious. His competitors smelled blood. The press had a field day. But Nicholas didn't care, because he'd finally learned what Olivia had tried to teach him 6 years ago. An empire built on sacrifice isn't an empire. It's a prison. 3 weeks after his last appointment, he showed up at the hospital unannounced. The receptionist recognized him immediately. "Mr. Grant, do you have an appointment?" "No, but I need to see Dr. Reed." "She's with a patient right now." "I'll wait." He sat in the lobby for 2 hours, didn't check his phone, didn't answer emails, just waited. When Olivia finally emerged, she froze at the sight of him. "Nicholas, what are you doing here?" He stood, holding a folder. "I need to show you something." She glanced around at the curious staff members watching. "This isn't appropriate. 5 minutes, please." Something in his voice made her pause. Finally, she nodded and led him to a quiet consultation room. He placed the folder on the table. "Open it." She hesitated, then did. Her eyes widened as she scanned the documents. This is a full endowment for a new cardiac research center. State-of-the-art labs, equipment, scholarships for underprivileged students pursuing cardiology. $20 million to start, with ongoing funding. She looked up, stunned. "Nicholas, I don't understand." "It's named after you. The Olivia Reed Center for Cardiac Innovation, because you've spent your life saving hearts, and because mine wouldn't still be beating without you." Tears spilled down her cheeks before she could stop them. "This isn't about buying forgiveness. I know I can't do that. But you told me once that the measure of a person isn't what they build, it's who they lift up along the way. I forgot that. I forgot a lot of things." Comment "Hearts over empires" if you believe love is worth more than success. She was quiet for a long moment, staring at the documents through tears. "Why now?" she whispered. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you were right." His voice was raw. "I spent 6 years building an empire, and it's empty. Every room, every hotel, every success. It all means nothing without someone to share it with.
And the only person I ever wanted to share it with was you. Nicholas. She shook her head, pain and longing warring on her face. You hurt me so badly. I don't know if I can trust you again. I know. And I'm not asking you to decide today or even this year, but I need you to know I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to prove to you every single day that I'm not that scared 20-something who ran away anymore. She wiped her tears, struggling to compose herself. What if I can't forgive you? What if it's too late? Then I'll live with that, he said softly. But I'd rather spend my life trying to earn you back than waste another day pretending I don't love you. The word hung in the air between them. Love. Olivia pressed a hand to her mouth, overwhelmed. Nicholas waited, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might give out right there. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I never stopped loving you either, and I hate that. I hate that after everything, after 6 years, you still have this hold on me. Live. But love isn't enough, Nicholas. She met his eyes, tears streaming freely now. Love wasn't enough when you left. How do I know it'll be enough now? He had no perfect answer, no guarantee, just the truth. Because this time, he said quietly, I know what I'm fighting for, and I'm not running.
They stood there in the silence of the consultation room, two people who loved, lost, and found each other again in the most unexpected way. Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, two broken hearts wondered if they could ever beat as one again. Olivia finally closed the folder, her hand trembling slightly. I need time, she said. I need to think about whether I can really do this. Take all the time you need, Nicholas said. I'm not going anywhere. She nodded, unable to speak. As he turned to leave, she called out softly, Nicholas? He looked back. Thank you. For the center. For trying. He smiled sadly. You're worth every try, Liv. You always were. He walked out, leaving her standing there with 20 million reasons to reconsider, and one simple truth she'd been running from for 6 years. Some loves don't die. They just wait for you to be brave enough to fight for them again. 2 days later, Nicholas was in his office when his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Meet me at Harbor Point, sunset. If you're serious about proving yourself, it starts now. Oh. Nicholas stared at the message, his heart racing for the first time in weeks, not from stress, but from hope. He grabbed his coat and headed for the door. Whatever came next, he was ready. If you believe everyone deserves a second chance, but only if they truly change, hit subscribe. The journey isn't over yet. Because redemption isn't given, it's earned. One heartbeat at a time.